to listen to the Lapped Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lapped Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 284 of the Lapped Traffic Podcast. I'm your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. Hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you all had a great 4th of July. And here we sit, 13 winners through 19 races. Can we get 4 more in 7 races? We had 2 Georgia boys win this weekend. Man, we'll get into that here in just a little bit. Like I said, hope you all had a great 4th of July. The wife and I took the week off work, had some fun with the baby, started off on Friday, July 1st, got around to golf in, had a great party with friends and family on the 3rd. Monday was a bit of a cleanup day, and Tuesday, Lindsay and I did a little day date downtown Detroit. Wednesday, we took Alden to Frankenmuth for this first time and went to Bronner's, the world's largest Christmas store, which if you guys have been following the show for any length of time, you know what a diehard Christmas nut we are. So that was a lot of fun. Had my golf league Thursday night, couple birthday parties over the weekend. Got to tell you, just love taking this little guy out. He loves to just be out, to see people. He is so chill in public and just smiles and flirts and just is a little handball, which is freaking awesome. So hope you guys were able to enjoy things as well. Let's see here. It's been a minute since we've done a show, but the last show featured WWE superstar Sheamus, which was awesome. If you haven't checked that out, that was definitely a mark out moment for myself to be able to have a wrestler on the podcast. Love everything about that. I mentioned on the last show, I am going to have 4 tickets to give away to MIS, and I will make the announcement of how you can win said tickets on next week's show, which is going to be a little MIS show. We're going to have new MIS track president on the show, as well as Jim Wise from Firekeepers Casino, our race sponsor. I will be out there race weekend at Firekeepers on Friday. They've got something going on, and I'll let Jim talk about all of that next week. But this week's stacked. I love it. I got 3 guests for you guys lined up tonight. Mr. E-Racer Fantasy, or not Fantasy, E-Racer, iRacer. I need to get the clarification on that because I don't understand it. Mr. Anthony Lord, Mr. Sly Job, he's going to be on, as well as Parker Retzlaff and Armani Williams. And Armani's from Detroit, which is really cool. So I am very excited to get those guys on the show for the first time here. Everyone making some first-time appearances, which is very cool. So let's get things rolling. Let's get Anthony on the show. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his first appearance on the show. He is a legend in the EI racing world, having won over 200 races across 62 different leagues, 7 league champions. He is the driver of the number 88. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, the Sly Job himself, Anthony Lord. Anthony, what's going on, man? How are you?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Happy to have you on. I love mixing in some of the iRacing stuff every now and then. I've done a lot of work with Landon and Parker with their series, and it's fun to get to talk to you guys that have, made a name for themselves, racing virtually, which is cool. So we'll get into some stuff, but what I want right now is, what is the difference between e-racing and iRacing?
Oh man, well it depends on what you're racing on. So I really got my start, as a kid racing on console. So e-racing, if you call it as console racing, is more arcade-like, but, there's a lot of, realistic components, but for those that, have a bigger budget and more equipment and so, I mean, if you're looking for something that's as realistic as it gets without actually stepping in a real race car, then, iRacing's for you. But really, what it comes down to from what I've seen is what you're able, and I think everybody in the community is passionate about racing, and I'm all for if you can get out there and race any type. I'm all for it.
I am the type that is a council racer with damage off. And, I'm running a 0.25% of the race. I've been saying it for years. I would love to get a rig and give this thing a whirl. But I know that is just not in the cards with a 5-month-old upstairs hanging out right now. So that will definitely get put on the back burner for the time being. But that's cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got into racing.
Yes, sir. So I'm from a small town in southwestern New York called Pine Bush. I'm kind of living in Connecticut now, though, for work. But I've been playing NASCAR video games pretty much as long as I've been a fan. And I like to say since birth, really. The famous story I tell is my dad told my mom if she was going to have me a week later, it would have been on the Daytona 500, and he would have been watching it in the waiting room.
Absolutely.
So but I've been around the sport a long time. It's probably, I would say, my biggest life's passion, in general, racing. So, I've been playing NASCAR games since I could. And, I discovered some years ago when they started, racing online and, with somebody that really didn't have a lot of money or didn't have access to real race cars yet, at least I like to say, I took to it, put a lot of time into it, and it's become a big part of my life.
That's awesome, man. Just talking to some of you guys over the last couple of years, do you do your own setup? Do you have a setup team when it comes to your races? Do you partner with somebody? I know guys are out there paying for professional setups on how to run some of these things. So how do you go about your car setup for these things?
Well, that's a great question. When I first started, I was getting any help I could get. When you first start out, you really know nothing. And I didn't. So I had a lot of mentors along the way that helped me and teach me, one piece of the car at a time and just learning what it does and how it affects everything else. And then eventually over the years, I've kind of gotten to the point where now, I pretty much know what most of the things do and going into a track, for a particular series, I kind of know where I want to start. And then just from there, it's fine tuning in practice and whatnot. But, it's just, you have to get to the point where you kind of know what you're looking for, or at least at minimum, know what the car should feel like.
Sure.
And then, and that just takes time. I tell people that first start out all the time, you just got to run laps, know how you like your car to feel, and then just get it there,
Absolutely. You could buy the best setup in the world, but if it doesn't fit your driving style, then it was a waste of money at that point in time. So
exactly.
you gotta be able to, finesse it to how, your driving style fits. Like, what was it? Like, was it Jimmy Johnson, wanted the car as loose as it could be. Jeff Gordon wanted it as tight as it could be, so
yeah,
it didn't matter, if you like it on the, one side, having the perfect setup on the other side isn't going to be good for you. So,
oh yeah, I've done that. Like, I've given my setup to a few people that helped me out and just to see what they could do with it. And a lot of times they'll say, "Oh man, this is garbage. What is this?" And I'll say, "I've won several races." I said, "What are you talking about?" But for me, I'm one of those guys. I'm more of a Jeff Gordon. I like it tight. I do not like things sliding off. But I know guys that will run it all the way loose and hanging against the wall, or and it's just not me. I'm not a Kyle Larson, right. I'll tell you that.
I love it. Speaking of Larson, what'd you think of the racing this past weekend?
It was good. I'm still not sure how I feel about this repave. I like Daytona and Talladega as much as the next guy. But I'm also, pretty old school in the fact that I loved how the old Atlanta raced.
Absolutely.
We saw so many cool races like Harvick and Jimmy and Jeff, and Earnhardt, a lot of great races there that I remember. So seeing it turn into like a plate track is new to me. I think it's kind of like the next gen car. It's kind of growing on me,
Yep.
But I will say it was pretty exciting, seeing some guys like Eric Jones and Corey LaJoie up there, so it was fun.
If there's one, big positive from plate racing, that is that, it will give an opportunity to somebody that may not ordinarily be running up front at your typical 1.5-mile track or something like that to go out there and get a win, and that's what I do love. I hate the carnage that we get sometimes with them, but that's definitely a very cool thing there when that can happen.
It's true.
From a fan perspective of what your favorite style to watch is versus your favorite style to drive, is that the same? Are you a short track guy, road course guy? What's your preference to watch and what's your preference to drive?
Actually, it's exactly the same. I've always been a short track guy. When I first started racing, that's kind of where I found my first success. I was never a road course guy to start. I had to spend so many hours learning just how to drive the stock cars on those tracks. So
sure.
that took the longest to develop. Plate was fun, but I hated how I had no control of my situation most of the time.
Yep.
So, and then 1.5 were good and short tracks were good. But, like you said, with the whole rig and everything, I didn't have a decent rig until later on. And I never realized that like the 1.5 ovals, how much that matters.
Okay.
And so for me, the short tracks was where I found my first success and I learned. And as a fan, I love going to those tracks because you see everything. There's a lot of bumping and banging. There's a lot of good racing. You just see everything, crashes and racing, and you can sit in any seat in the house. It's loud. It's, most of the time under the lights. So, short tracks have always been my home for sure.
Awesome. I love it. All right. You recently scored your 200th victory, which is awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How, 200 wins, how many attempts do we have?
Oh man, I lost count, but I think me and a friend were estimating just based on how often I race. And I would say I'm up anywhere between the 500 to 600 mark. Okay. As far as starts, maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, I wish I kept track of that. I did keep track. I do try to keep track as most as I can about most things. Like I have, like wins and all-star wins, championships. Mainly surrounded around the wins. Like where were they? What series? Absolutely. What year, what platform, things like that. But as far as like starts and polls, I wish I kept track of that.
I was going to ask you that. So what is your favorite, car, if you will, to run? Is it, the current version, the old gen? Is it like a truck series? What's your favorite car, truck, year to go and do some damage out there in?
And I have to say, I've enjoyed racing all three of the NASCAR National Series, but I got to say the trucks have always been the most fun.
Hell yeah.
It's just, what it is? For me, it's that the margin of error is so small because everybody's so close and the power's not up there. So it's so hard, you just really got to be on it every single lap. But the good thing is that you don't have as much wheel spin, you don't have as much looseness in late runs as the Cup cars and Xfinity. So there's a little bit, it's a little bit easier on the setup, but I think that's why it brings people closer together too. So yeah, the trucks have always been the most fun.
Where did the 200th win? What track was that at?
It's funny how it happened. My 200th came at the newest race, at least that I've raced on, at the Indy Roval, because awesome. that was added obviously later than the other 30 tracks that we had. So yeah, that was a track that took me a long, especially not being a road course guy, it took me a while to even learn the track, but man, that is a tricky one to navigate.
And what were you running for that one?
That one I was running actually Xfinity cars. Okay. This current gen Xfinity car. And I believe I was running the 88 I usually run. I've hopped in a whole bunch of different numbers over the years, but sure. The 88's always been a special number for me. Not any for a particular driver, even though some of my favorite drivers have raced in it. But I've always just liked that number. So very
cool. Do you have a win at Michigan?
I do. Actually, excellent. Michigan's been one of my most successful, I would say.
Fantastic. That's my home track, so I love that.
Very really?
Cool. Yes, that's my home track.
That's a great track because, it's without the plates, it really is the fastest track that NASCAR's had historically. So
absolutely. Yep.
It's always been a cool place. And it's funny, I typically don't do well at draft tracks just for, less control of situation. Sure. And turns out that Michigan was oddly successful for me and not for all the other draft tracks, which is so weird. But cool. I don't know what it is about that place, but yeah, I love it.
So you mentioned at the start, working and all that kind of, what's the primary gig? What's the daytime thing?
Oh man. So I'm actually a mechanical engineer.
Awesome.
I went to school at upstate New York, RIT, for my master's. And my first internship was at you're probably familiar being from Michigan, Magna Powertrain.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I served an internship there in their powertrain division, actually working on, if you read Motor Trend and all of that, the new electric E-beam for the trucks and delivery vehicles. Okay. So I was part of that project. And then now I work for a company called ASML out in Connecticut. They do a lot of semiconductor work.
Cool.
But yeah, I've always been interested in machines and cars ever since I was little, working on cars with my dad. So I said, why not make a career out of it?
Very cool. I love it. Have you raced in Landon and Parker's E-Racer series?
Not yet. That's one of the goals, eventually. But there's still more on the table, right? So not yet.
Absolutely. I love it. So that's what else is, what are some of the next goals that you want to hit, or, are you, up there in a championship contention in any league right now? What's the future look like?
Well, I've actually, it seems like the way that seasons go, it always seems like the same times of the year are always like playoff time. So yeah, I'm actually in 4 title hunts right now that'll probably end around August. Okay. And then, yeah, I guess the next goals for me would be, I have this goal to win a race on every track in every series.
Nice.
It doesn't matter what gen or everything, but yep. And I'm actually, so when I got like 100, 150 wins, I'm like, man, if I get to 200, I'm good. And winning at every track, every series seemed like a very distant goal. I'm like, if I could just win at every track, I'll be good.
Right.
Turns out,
I think you should
I'm
switch your
sitting-
number to 43. Because, you know,
yeah,
the
right.
king, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Somebody said that to me, right? But I'm only like 5 away at this point, and
Wow.
I can't believe it. So now that I'm so close, I'm like, well, that goal's not very far now, so
Right.
I'm gonna pursue it.
That's awesome.
You know, I mean, I'll race any track that comes up on the schedule, but you know, I'm gonna put a little bit more emphasis on those few that I've got left. You know, obviously championships and stuff are always good to have. But me as a driver, I never focus on championships, and people look at me funny a little bit, but the reason is because you know, when I win races, I know that it's because, you know, I worked hard in that race and I did a good job, and you know, that if I lose a race or something happens, you know, there's always another one.
Yep.
But as far as championships go, especially with the playoff format now,
Sure.
somebody could take you out, right, you know, and you lose an entire championship in a whole season,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yep.
just like that. So
Yep.
if I measured my success based on championships, I'd be a really sad person,
Right.
you know.
How many
So-
times a week are you do you run a race?
Well, at peak, I was running every day of the week.
Okay.
But I've kind of trimmed that back a little bit now. I run between 3 to 5 days a week.
Okay.
You know, so but I try to stay active. You know, weekends get pretty busy sometimes, you know, especially
Sure.
with NASCAR on and everything. But
Yeah.
I race quite a bit. So,
Very cool.
you know.
Any do you have any sponsors on the car?
Well, actually, I have an affiliate ship with Plan B Sales, or which now Circle B Diecast.
Yep.
That's been going on for several years. So
Cool.
I'm happy to be with them. And yeah, I'm honestly looking for more. You know, it's been tough to come by, especially with the economic climate we're in right now.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But you know, a couple of the series I've been in though had all sponsorships. I know one of the championships I just won, that whole series was sponsored by Jerky Pro and SeatGeek and a couple of others. So it's been nice to see all that come together. And but yeah, I'm definitely looking for more sponsorships for sure.
Very cool. Do you stream on Twitch while you're racing or no?
I do. Most times I do. I've had to get new internet because it's been a little spotty lately. But yeah, I do stream regularly on Twitch. It's just Mr. Slide Job, no numbers after it. Unfortunately, it was taken for some weird reason.
Oh,
but,
wow. Okay.
yeah. But yeah. So I do stream on Twitch. Haven't gotten to a partner, but I have gotten to affiliate. So.
Cool.
We're moving on there. It's nice to see some support on that channel.
Awesome. Well, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Well, I'm mostly active on Twitter. I post most wins, you know, any milestones, you know, any kind of big race updates, highlights, and stuff like that on my Twitter. If it's anything like significant or a longer video, because I do highlight videos periodically, those all go on my YouTube, and so that's just Mr. Slide Job 1996 on YouTube. So any of the longer stuff, also, you know, podcasts that I'm on, I try to put copies of on there, interviews, stuff like that. But if it's something short or pictures, that all goes on the Twitter. So those are my two most active accounts, other than the Twitch live. So
Awesome.
that's usually where you can find me.
Very cool. Well, man, thanks for hopping on tonight. I appreciate it. Glad to get to talk to you. I haven't had anybody from the iRacing world on in a minute, so honored to have a 200 race winner on the show. And, you know, definitely keep in touch, and we'll get you back on sometime down the road.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Love to check in again. And I appreciate you having me. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
Absolutely. All right. Lap Traffic Nation. There you have it. Mr. Slide Job himself on the Lap Traffic Podcast. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see ya. All right, let's talk the Truck Series from Mid-Ohio this weekend. I got to tell you, it's probably the best race of the weekend, in my opinion. I know a lot of us probably would have just preferred all three series to be at Mid-Ohio than back at Atlanta this weekend. Get to that here in just a minute. First off, congrats to Parker Kligerman for just getting the job done, dominating the race. I tell you, I wish he could run the whole damn series because he could make a run for the championship. No doubt about it if he was out there and competing for this thing, which is awesome. Parker, good friend of the show, which was great to see him get to victory lane. Great to see a hell of a finish with him and Zane Smith towards the end of that thing there. Michigan native Carson Hocevar, who might be on the show next week as well as MIS and Firekeepers there, which would be very cool. We'll see if we can't put that together. So that was obviously a side note. But all right, so a couple things. John Hunter Nemechek, obviously a strong pick each and every week for Lap Traffic Fantasy, rightfully so, because through 15 races, he has finished inside the top 10 times, and he has finished outside the top 10, outside the top 20 the 5 other times. It is either top 10 for John Hunter or 24th or worse. Like, there is no in between. He either has it or he doesn't. But fortunately, for most of the time, he has it inside the top 10. I think we're all a little surprised, though, that he only has one win so far this season. A couple second place finishes. Got that win at Darlington a while back. But yeah, it's top 10 or bust for John Hunter, it seems like, this season. And we'll see if they can't dial that in here as things come to a close. And I say close, what's coming to a close is the Truck Series regular season coming to a close. One more race to go at Pocono, not this weekend, but next weekend, which is going to be exciting. Pocono will definitely be a little bit of a wild card race for those guys in the trucks, as the Pocono truck race definitely delivers. The thing is that it's really going to have to be win or bust for somebody. I mean, maybe Derek Kraus can pick up 20 some odd points on Matt Crafton in 10th. But it's really an interesting shakeup here as far as I'm concerned on how the Truck Series looks. I mean, Zane Smith obviously at the top, 3 wins. John Hunter favorite. Chandler Smith favorite. Stuart Friesen seems to be boom or bust as well. When he's on, he's on. Ben Rhodes, our truck champ from last year, is sitting there with a win. But then it's you got Ty Majeski, Christian Eckes, Carson Hocevar, Grant Enfinger, Matt Crafton. Last year, Ben Rhodes, he won the first race, won the last race, and got that championship. Kind of snuck into the Final Four and got the job done at Phoenix. It's something like that's going to have to happen, I would say, for Zane or John Hunter not to win this championship. It's a little bit of a bummer. As you guys all know what kind of a Truck Series fan I am, that we're talking about a winless 6th place, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th on down. Really was hoping Tyler Ankrum would have made a little bit more noise. Would have loved, Truck Series veteran Matt Crafton to have made some noise. Grant Enfinger, her first year at GMS, struggling a little bit there. Matt DiBenedetto was really nowhere to be found this season, so definitely some ho-hum moments, if you will, throughout the Truck Series this season. But definitely looking forward to the playoffs because it is a, shorter field and it knocks it down very quickly, it seems like, once the playoffs get rolling there. So not to disparage the Truck Series by any means, but, we'll hope for a much more exciting Truck Series playoffs than some of the last couple races have provided for us. All right, let's talk a little Xfinity Series. Great to see Austin Hill get the job done on Saturday as well. He hasn't been to Victory Lane since Daytona, which is great to see him in his rookie year, transitioning from the Truck Series over to the Xfinity Series now with 2 wins, sitting there nice, midway of the points pack, 2 wins, all that good stuff. So nice job there. Nice run by Ryan Truex, who hasn't been in the ride in a minute there. Tyler Reddick backed up his Cup win last week with a top 5 in the Xfinity Series this week, which is great. Landon Castle with the top 10. All good things. Here's my only gripe with the Xfinity Series this year, and I've had this rant in years past, but I did not have to have it last year, which is cool. It's a very exciting Xfinity Series, right? I mean, we've got 7 drivers with different wins inside the top 12 now, which is awesome, and I would say that we could realistically get another first-time season winner in the Xfinity Series. What I don't like is we are definitely moving away from a bubble perspective with a lot of racing to go still in the regular season, which that I'm not a fan of by any stretch. You look at Landon Castle in 12th, 421. You got Anthony Alfredo in 13th with 341. We're talking an 80-point difference from the last playoff spot to the first out. Like I said, with a lot of racing still to go in the regular season. So I don't see any of these guys making up that kind of a points difference. So unless somebody outside the top 12, gets a win, which is possible. There's some road courses and all that left. I get that. But realistically speaking, the top 12 in our point standings in the Xfinity Series is our playoff grid, which is a bummer, with, like I said, so much more racing to go in the regular season. Now, that said, I think we will have a very exciting playoff series for the Xfinity Series. Like I said, you've got AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, Justin Allgaier, Noah Gregson, Austin Hill. All these guys could potentially go make a bid for it. So once they get rolling, I think it'll be great. I just am not a fan of the fact that we don't have a bubble picture, if you will. That always rubs me the wrong way for whatever reason that might be. All right. Let's talk about the Cup race on Sunday. All right, let's start with Chase Elliott. Obviously, awesome. Austin Hill from Georgia picking up the win at Atlanta. Chase Elliott getting his first win at Atlanta. Very cool moments there, which is great and very exciting. Chase Elliott dominating, first driver to 3 wins this season. So, things going great there. What I really want to focus on is Ross Chastain, because it is just so amazing how just 2-3 years ago, Ross Chastain was the Cinderella story. He was the Cinderella story in the Truck Series with Nice Motorsports and made a bid at a championship, had that win taken away. Everybody was, all for him, all that good stuff. Then they had the DC Solar deal in the Xfinity Series with Chip Ganassi, and that whole thing was the debacle, and everyone just pulling for Ross Chastain. And now Ross has his Cup ride. He's in there. He's winning races. And now people aren't liking his racing style. And I got to wonder, is he racing any different now than he was in the Xfinity Series and in the Truck Series? Because I can't imagine that his style of racing is all that different. It's just that now, maybe Ross Chastain isn't your favorite driver in the Cup Series like he may have been in the Truck Series, so you didn't care who he wrecked or got into a situation with, to where now maybe Chase Elliott's your favorite driver, or Joey Logano, or whoever the case may be. Maybe your favorite Cup driver isn't Ross, and you were a fan of his before, but now you're not, and that just is very interesting to me, because I love the Cinderella aspect of his story, if you will. I love the fact that he transitioned, overcame all of this, picked up, winning races, So from that regard, the heat that he is taking is very interesting to me. So there's that. All right. where was everybody at Atlanta? That's what I'd like to know. There was nobody in those grandstands. It literally looked like an ARCA race or an off truck race when no one was, like that was bare bones if I've ever seen a race. That's a Monday rain delay 3:00 start kind of thing because of weather on Sunday crowd there. That was something. I was very surprised to see such a small attendance there. And hey, we very well may see that again down the road. I have no idea what Michigan's going to look like. I'd like to think the fact that we had some decent racing there the last couple of years, the fact that we only have the one race now, so I'm not going to, I was just surprised. It's a shame to see all the effort that goes into putting on a race weekend, and whether that's from the TV, the teams and the stuff that they do for the fans, track setups with, sponsors and promotions and all that kind of stuff. Man, that was crazy. All right. The important piece that I want to talk about is, as I mentioned at the start of the show, we've got 13 winners through 19 races. We've got we have 7 races to get 4 more winners to get us to that lucrative 17th winner, so that somebody with a win does not make the playoffs. Corey LaJoie, man, what a bum. Almost got the win there. That would have been something else for sure, and definitely would have thrown a wrench into some things there. Is it possible to get 4 more winners? Ryan Blaney could have gotten it done this past weekend. Very well could get it done. Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell. You got Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola. I'd like to assume Kevin Harvick should be able to get a win. I still believe he's got all the skill in the world to get it done. I just don't think the cars are there for them. So I'm not even going to count that unless it's like a Daytona thing, maybe. Eric Jones could possibly get a win. Austin Dillon could sneak one in. There is the potential, especially because that 7th race is Daytona, that anything can happen. I really wanted to see a first winner this weekend. I think we would have needed that to make something happen. We got Tyler Riddick, which is awesome. His first win at Road America a couple weeks ago. But 4 and 7, man, that is a tall order right there, I would say, considering as how it's New Hampshire, Pocono, Michigan, Daytona. I'm drawing a blank on a couple other handfuls in between there, but man, I would sure love to see it happen. All right. There's the race talk for this week. I am excited to get Detroit native Armani Williams, who's running the truck series with Rayun Brothers Racing on a part-time basis here. So let's get Armani on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his first appearance on the show. He is the first NASCAR driver openly diagnosed with autism. He is the driver, the number 33 with the Rayun Brothers Racing Team, and is basically my neighbor from Grosse Pointe, Michigan. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Armani Williams. Armani, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, man. So, what's new? What's exciting? What you do for the 4th of July? How's the summer been going?
Summer's been really good. It's been a lot of fun. I got a chance to go on vacation at Fort Lauderdale with my family, which was nice. Got to do some fishing, got to hang out at the pool, the beach. And so, weather there was definitely hot for sure. I definitely had a tan going for like a few days while I was down there. So, but honestly, I haven't got to do that for quite a long time. So, it was refreshing to have that. So, it was a pretty good 4th of July. So, really enjoyed it. But, otherwise, just been chilling here, got a race coming up in about, not this week, but next Saturday at Pocono. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Well, we'll get to that here in just a second. But first, as I mentioned when I brought you on here, we're both from Michigan. We're both Metro Detroit natives. It's awesome to have the Motor City truly represented on the show tonight. What are some of your favorite things to do in Michigan, Metro Detroit?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what's best about Michigan, like, obviously you get to enjoy the beautiful weather like during the summer season, but there's a lot of good places to eat. I'm a guy that likes to go eat out a whole lot, that's what I like to do. There's even a pool right where I live that I like to go hang out at. I mean, I think it's just basically, you get every opportunity to go outdoors and do some things. I think, like, for the most part, I'm a sports guy. So when racing doesn't come into mind, I like football. And so we got our Detroit Lions nearby.
We should go to a game, man. Don't ask me why, but I've got season tickets. You and we should go to a game, and we could make a little social media thing out of it or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I like to try and go to a game this season,
Absolutely.
With what's been going on.
You been to Comerica Park at all this summer?
No, not really. I mean, it's been a while for me, but the Tigers, things have been getting a little rough with them, so like I haven't got a chance to go, but I mean, hey, one of these days I like to just go hang out, like have a beer, things of that nature. So
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, it's your first time on the show. Tell the listeners a little bit about your journey, how you got into racing and where you're at right now.
Yeah. So, it all started at a very, very early age for me. I was so young. I was kind of fascinated with cars at first. Like I would have a collection of Hot Wheel and Matchbox cars, and I would just play with them like nonstop, whether it was on the floor or on the kitchen table. I would do that with my mom and my dad, especially my grandparents for sure. And one time I heard about NASCAR, and I was thinking to myself, you know what, this sounds pretty cool. I gotta check this out, see what it's all about. And they would play it on television on the weekends, as they still do. And what caught my eye right away was just how fast the cars are going, like 180, 190 miles an hour. I mean, it just seemed insane to me. I'm like, no way these guys are going that fast. Right. But
well, if you see people drive down 696, it kind of puts it into perspective.
I mean, it just seemed unimaginable to me, but darn, it was so cool, and just how cool the paint schemes looked, how aggressive the drivers were, just the moves they would make on the track. And it went from loving cars to now loving racing. And my interest got up even more the more times I watched it, to the point where I even told my dad that I want to be a professional race car driver. And, given like the type of life that had to live with autism, just trying to find things that interest me. My parents recognized the same thing, and, so they supported me, wanted to be a race car driver. And so I started racing when I was 8 years old in the go-karting division. Started out in Jackson, Michigan, where they would have an oval and a road course there. And, just started racing go-karts. And quite honestly, like almost a lot of race car drivers, that's where they get their start at, is go-karts. And had some really good success there. And then I moved up into racing mini cup cars. Now with these NASCAR stock cars, like these are kind of like almost a mini version of it. And so, had 18 wins, 2 championships to go along with it. So great success in that division. And then moved up into the ARCA Truck Pro Series, where we raced a lot in Michigan here, but also in Indiana, Ohio. Had a lot of great moments there, got a lot of top fives. I was, I think, first African-American driver to finish high in the points, or finish highest in a race. I think my highest was like a third or fourth. I can't remember, but I had a really good time in the truck series. That same year, I was invited to NASCAR Driver Diversity program down in New Smyrna. I think it's New Smyrna Beach, Florida, or whatever it is. But, a really great program, gave a lot of drivers like me, like as far as minorities, an opportunity to continue moving up the ladder in NASCAR. Although I was not fortunate to, get selected to drive for, their team, which was Rev Racing, that are racing in ARCA today. NASCAR saw the potential in me, and they suggested that I move up to NASCAR, but race in a series called NASCAR Pinty Series, which is a series up in Canada. And so you can imagine, like, having a race outside the country, Sure. It just felt like a cool experience. You get to see a different culture of racing, and it was such a great time. Like, I got to learn a lot of, how to be a pro driver, how to be fast, be able to keep up with the drivers that I was racing against, like DJ Kennington, Alex Tagliani, who's a former Indy 500 pole setter, So, I mean, those are guys I had to race against. And also Alex LeBay, who's in the Xfinity series right now. So a lot of talented drivers, learned a lot, and the fans and just culture racing there was just incredible. They made me feel welcome in my time there. That's it was just awesome. One of the nicest fans I've ever seen. So that was great. And then I came back to the U.S. in what was then known as the NASCAR K&N West and East area, then ran some races there in Memphis, Washington, New Hampshire, a host of others. And then 2020 moved up to ARCA and raced at Phoenix and a home track here in Michigan. So that was an exciting time. Got my first ever ARCA top 10 there. And then last year I made my NASCAR Camping World Truck Series debut at Gateway. And then just recently this year, was going to make a start in my first start in 2022 at Texas Motor Speedway. But, fortunately, just mechanical failures, took us out of like competing for that race. But, you got to put that in the rearview mirror, and got another great opportunity coming up here soon, racing at Pocono, July 23rd. And so I'm excited to just have another shot at getting back on the racetrack and, doing well there.
Awesome. What are you doing when you're not at the track?
Yeah. So, I like to cook a lot at home for my family. I like to cook anything that I find off of Google or Food Network or whatever, and just make it at home. And then I like to, go on nice, warm vacations, as I did recently. I also like to watch movies. There's always new movies that come out of theater that I like to check out. So I love to do that. I like listening to music as well. Like, I'm into rock, hip hop, but mainly though, like rock music, if I had to listen to any sort of music before I get into a car, it'd be rock music. Give me anything that just pumps me up, fires me up, and I'm ready to go. So awesome. I like that. But really, like, if I'm not on the racetrack, so any race that I know I'm going to compete in, like, we got this iRacing that we have, and boy, has it been a game changer for us drivers. Just, be able to learn a track that you've never raced on before you actually do the real thing is so invaluable. It's so beneficial. And so, like, I spend a lot of time on the iRacing simulator, just however many hours I have to be on it, just learning, perfecting my craft, learning any sort of vehicles that maybe I may not race, but I may race down the road, all these tracks that are around America, just learning how to get around them and be faster. I spend a lot of hours, however many hours I need to be on there. So, it just keeps me sharp and focused.
Awesome. That's great, man. So let's talk about the autism side of things. You were diagnosed at a very early age. Talk about some of the challenges that created for you, whether, growing up, going through a school, and how it's impacted, your racing career, any kind of different prep or anything like that before you get into the car. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed on the spectrum at 2 years old, but the interesting part about that was that I didn't really know about it yet. You know, I thought I was just like these normal kids, you know, probably just having a different personality, nothing wrong with it. Everybody's different in the world. But I think what really struck me was the fact that I was trying so hard to just make as many friends as possible. And from what I learned just being on the autism spectrum, there are the challenges of, you know, social interaction and communication. And so knowing that, you know, of course, I had to go get some help through therapy, like occupational speech therapy, anything really. But I kind of took the initiative just learn more of what autism was all about and, you know, figure out what exactly do I need to do myself in order to overcome these challenges. And so, you know, having to do all of that, like first of all, I appreciate the support of my family for helping me through this, you know, because it's not an easy thing to, you know, go through. You know, sure. you need a lot of support. You need a lot of people that are able to understand you, you know, and are willing to help you as much as possible. And honestly, though, like I knew about this, like, I think right around the time I was around middle school. Like I didn't know about it yet at a young age, but, you know, before I probably got into middle school, you know, my parents thought it was time for me to know. And all the thing, and I almost had to go through the back of my mind to just sort of think about the experiences I had and why am I having these challenges? What are the things that I experienced? And honestly, had I not known about that early on, I don't know how my life would have been right now, you know, and the fact that I've been able to find what really brings me joy and happiness, which is racing, and just being able to, you know, work hard at what I wanted to do in life was to be a professional race car driver. You know, I just couldn't appreciate just how much support my family and everybody else have given me, and, you know, and that I've taken the initiative to overcome the challenges I have. And now I'm able to find what type of person I want to be. What does my personality need to be? And, you know, all that has helped with not only my family, but just the love of racing, you know, has helped me get through all those challenges.
Sure. So, you know, the ability to focus on racing, does that help you? Like, you know, when you know, race day, like, you know, are you just able to zone in, you know, or, you know, would you maybe have to do something different that maybe, you know, someone that doesn't have autism before they strap in, so to speak?
Yeah. I mean, with people with autism, we have a laser-like focus on things. So I would say something I like to do for a race, honestly, like, as I mentioned before, I like to listen to music. I think, you know, having to listen to music just to get you fired up, you know, definitely helps a long way. I think for me, I like to almost be connected with the crew that I'm racing for, you know, just to be able to get an understanding of them, get an understanding of the car that I'm gonna drive. So that way I know what to do out on the racetrack, you know. Like, I think for me, being a race car driver, you know, you have to know the vehicle you're racing on. You kind of want to know a little bit of the mechanics and what you're going to be dealing with, you know. So I try to, you know, make a relationship to the crew as much as possible, you know, because, you know, it can go a long way. You know, you might be working for them full time. And so, you know, you get to know them, get to know what they do, you know, and just be able to understand your racing vehicle and what you're about to go up against. So, you know, I pride myself a lot on that.
Awesome. No, that's great, man. So listen, you know, being from Metro Detroit, have you ever heard of Freddie the Pizza Man?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He actually invited me over to his pizzeria one time to do an interview, but really great guy, really passionate about, you know, pizza, you know, but especially, you know, sports in general. Like, he really follows like anything sports in general around Detroit. You know, he's really big into that, but really great guy. You know, I still need to go back to his pizzeria and try his pizzas, because I heard they're really legit. And, you know, I'm surprised. I'm kind of almost mad at myself that I haven't done it sooner, but I like to do that sometime.
So Barstool gave him one of the highest pizza ratings ever, which is awesome. But Freddie's a very good friend of mine. I would love to get you guys hooked up just because of what he does for autism. He's got a 501c3 autism charity. His son has autism, and his charity work involves building sensory rooms in schools in Metro Detroit. He's just a great human being, and I think you guys would benefit greatly from an introduction there for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and that was one of the reasons how I met Freddie. Was the fact that his kid was on the autism spectrum, and you just think about people like Freddie just being as a parent, having to deal with a child with autism. It's just such a tough thing to do. But honestly, though, he's used it as a way to help give back to the autism community, and that's great for people that do something like that, So Freddie, he's a really great guy and really cares a lot about people and, other human beings.
Yeah, he's great. He's great, man. Okay, so you mentioned we're going to see you at Pocono. Who's going to be on the truck at Pocono, and any other plans lined up this season?
Yeah, so I'm going to be in the number 33 MD exclusive Chevrolet or Toyota Tundra, whatever that may be, at Pocono, July 23rd. It's going to be, we're going to be racing at 12 noon, be broadcast on Fox Sports 1. But I also got other partners along with MD exclusive, like Ice Cold Technology, Doug Fluey, for Autism Foundation, and then Fizz and Mesa, all our great partners, that most of them are connected to what I like to do, with using my racing platform to help get back for autism. So these companies like the Doug Fluey Foundation for Autism, MDX exclusive, Fizz and Mesa, they're really big in helping to get back to the autism community. And so, we just felt it was a great match to be able to connect with those companies and be able to support me and racing, and that, we can do a lot of great things for autism, not just for this year, but down the road.
Absolutely. That's great, man. It's a bummer the trucks are not going to be at MIS this year, but are you going to be able to make it to Michigan International Speedway in a couple weeks?
Unfortunately not, but hey, if anything comes up, that could change. But yeah, quite honestly, I would have loved to see the trucks back at MIS. I don't know why, but it just seemed like a fun track for those trucks to get around. You saw some amazing finish the last few years they raced there. So I like to see it back, but I will say, even despite of all that, I was fortunate enough to race there at MIS in ARCA series, having to gone there a few times as a kid, just seeing how wide and fast the track is, just dreaming of racing there, and just glad I got the opportunity there. But may not happen this year, but some things could change with a snap of the finger, so we'll see.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Yeah, so people can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Team Armani Racing. Also on Facebook, you can follow me on my 3 pages, as well as with Armani Williams at my personal page. And then I got a business page, and then even a Race for Autism page as well. It's my own foundation in helping to get back to the autism community. And then you can follow me, Team Armani Racing, on both Twitter and Instagram. And then I even got my own website too at, Team Armani Racing, where you get to learn more about me, and what I'm doing to help give back to, autism and what we're all about. So, that's where people can, follow me there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your story. I look forward to keeping in touch with you, especially being Detroit natives, both of us. Best of luck to you at Pocono in a couple weeks, and look forward to talking with you real soon, man.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, there you have Armani Williams. Great to have him on the show. Great to have somebody so close. Like, literally, he's like 20 minutes from me. So that's awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed his story. Can't wait to see how he does at Pocono and all that good stuff. So, all right. I think it's time for a little Lap Traffic social media. All right, let's do a little Lap Traffic social media. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. If you've made it this far into the show, leave a review. Tell your friends. They can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site. Be on the lookout next weekend for tickets to, or an announcement on how to win tickets to MIS. There'll be some other prize packs on the way. Huge shout out to At Atlanta Racing and the Throwback brand for all of their combined efforts with some giveaways that Atlanta Racing's doing, which is awesome. And we've got some new followers, Rusty Turner at Rusty T79, a NASCAR fan from Georgia, and Brandon Norton at B Norton_9, Chase Elliott fan from Georgia, which is awesome. Don't forget, stickers, koozies, all that good stuff. I've got them if you want them for free. All you have to do is fill out the contact page on the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, with your name and address, and I will send them out to you for free. There's also t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all that good stuff on the Lap Traffic store. And we'll see what comes down the pipe and all that good stuff. So let's keep things rolling. Let's get the doctor back in the house. It's Mr. Aaron Studwell. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me back on the line. You can follow him on Twitter at RaceWeather, along with Brian Newdorf at NASCAR_WXMAN. It's the Dr. Aaron Studwell. Sir, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I am good. I'm good. Glad to have you back. It's been a minute. So last week took the week off for the holiday, and then the week before that you were scheduled. Something came up. I did the weather forecast, but that was like the first time in a long time that we didn't have a scheduled weather segment. Which, hey, shit happens, no big deal. But I was just like, well, I guess I'll do it on my own. And the perfect weekend for that to have happened, because it was Road America with just the most picture-perfect forecast ever.
Yeah, and I'm still, I was sick then, and we were talking before we got on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still holding on to this thing, and
right?
you might be able to hear it in my voice. I'm flying today. I'm still coughing. I'm still congested.
This is air.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah. then you cough or you sneeze on a flight.
Oh God.
Yeah, everybody's head whips around. It's like, no. I took a home test. It's not COVID.
Right. Yeah. You can't sneeze in public anymore, man. Like it is bad. Oh, that's funny. Well, glad you're better, and glad to have you back. Of course, as always, we've got a lot to cover here in the next 15 minutes. I want to start with the news, and just because of your Michigan football tie, I'm going to make the tie to the Detroit Lions. Did you see that? It's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not Kansas City. It's not Dallas, but it's the Detroit Lions with the highest paid offense in 2022.
I demand a refund. The season hasn't even happened yet.
Right? I want a partial refund on my season tickets.
Well, no, you know what? You get apparel. Since you're a longtime Detroit Lions season ticket holder, you just get this nice apparel.
Right. I mean, I tell you what, they sent me a Hawkinson jersey or a nice Hawkinson, hoodie. I'd be okay with that, to be honest with you.
No, excuse me. You get me all choked. You get me all verklempt. You get me all choked up. No, and that's funny because I actually didn't see that news, and it's stunning. That is absolutely stunning to me, and I would want to. I'm a numbers guy.
Yep.
The least surprising statement of the day. I'm a numbers guy. I want to see the numbers and where the hell? What?
Well,
where?
So, now, to be fair, it's not like Dallas comes in second and it's only by $1 million. And I say only because once you're talking
you put that in that in your
money. NFL money, you can say only with $1 million with it, I feel like. But I
Hey,
mean,
could you throw only $1 million my way?
No, I'm shit. If I only had $1 million, I'd be all right.
See, only is a great word here because you can put it just about anywhere in that sentence.
Yeah. Yep.
Moving on.
Yeah. Moving on. Yes. Moving on. All right. Next tidbit of information here. And I'm throwing the silly season music in here because some breaking news earlier today. And I didn't talk about it at the start of the show because I figured I'd want to have some banter back and forth with somebody. Tyler Riddick going to 2311 in 2024, not 2023, which makes the announcement all that much more interesting, in my opinion.
Well, I would put that silly season music on a little bit of fade, just kind of quietly in the background,
Right.
because this. Okay, I read it. I'm like, okay, I saw the news. Then I read it again. I'm like, 2024. I'm like, wait, this is 22.
Yeah.
Like, what? People don't have to have justifications. Like I said, I've been traveling today.
Yeah.
Was there any thought process on your part, media parts, pundit part? Why? What? They just wanted to have the deal done. I guess Kurt's going to retire,
Well,
and Ty moves in.
So here's my thing with it is okay, you could have done the deal behind the scenes and made the announcement a year from now, and it's a lot easier of a pill to swallow from an RCR perspective. Like, so what I had read and saw was that RCR knew that he was probably going to be leaving,
Right.
But okay, all of those conversations could have been had behind the scenes to where it's not made public. I don't understand. Well, I guess I would say the only thing that makes sense to me to make the announcement a year early or an entire season early with still having to finish up 2022 is that there's no sponsors. It was Denny Hamlin wanted Tyler Riddick, so he went out and got Tyler Riddick. So I wonder if they just made it public to hopefully have a year and a half to start drawing the sponsors in. That is the only thing that I could see as why you would risk burning bridges, I guess, if that's the right phrase to use for this situation, with a year and a half still to go. Because
I think, money's what drives this. Money's what drives the sport.
Yep.
It's how I make a living.
Yep.
Kind of. And you've been around it. The other part of it, I think that's a lot of it, right? We've now got a year and a half.
Yep.
If BetMGM's not his,
Yep.
I've got a year and a half to say he's going to be in the X car.
Yep.
And he's going to start in 2024.
Yep.
Here's what we can arrange. The other part that I'm going to answer a question with a question. How long have you been around the sport in a media capacity?
This is year 6.
Do you think there's any way that story is not getting out over a year?
Fair, right? Because how many times have we gone and said, hey, this is the worst kept secret in NASCAR, right? So
Right.
You might as well capitalize on your own making the announcement versus it being leaked throughout the garage and everybody just making the speculation about it. So at least they did get to the way they
You
did it on
control the
social
narrative.
media was cool. They definitely got to do that. So I guess that's a great perspective in terms of they got to determine and they got to say and have creative control on it versus us knowing it's coming, them deciding what track they're going to sit in the media center at and make the announcement. They got to do it on their own terms. So
Right. Yeah, I wonder to what extent, this is just kind of idle thinking here. What extent did they sit down and talk to Richard or Andy Petrie and say, hey, I'm not coming back next year.
Right.
Or not coming back in 24. I'll be back
Right.
next year. I'm not coming back in 24. How do we want to handle this? How do we want to announce this?
You would
And
think
'cause you
there'd be
can't-
mutual respect to want to do it in
Right.
the best light for both teams.
Right. You don't want to kick. Okay. Yeah. You don't want to kick him in the teeth because
Right.
from a standpoint of, I still got to drive for him for another year and a half.
Right. So I two things come to my mind with that. You just came off your first win. We are 2 weeks post your first Cup win with an organization that's been struggling, with an organization that you raced for a minute in the Xfinity Series. Like, it looked like you could have been the person they were going to be able to rebuild around to a degree.
Oh yeah.
Which was, so there's that aspect of it. Now you look at it like you had mentioned earlier, you got the lame duck situation here. Like how, other than the fact of knowing just how competitive pit crew members are and how competitive that job is, like, where is the effort from your team to want to go out there knowing you're piecing out? Like that's got, even though everybody will say, no, we're racing for a championship, that lingers in the back of the mind regardless.
I would say, but but still here is the owner's championship still pays.
Yeah.
No matter who's behind the wheel.
Oh, sure.
And if I mess up, if I'm a rear tire changer, and I mess up, it's still my job.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Outside of the fact of the competition aspect of knowing, hey, if I don't do a good job, I'm going to be out and I may not get another opportunity.
Right.
That may be the sole motivation, which is unfortunate,
Yeah, but here's the other. And one thing I will say though, and we've seen this happen before, he won't be in. I would be surprised if he's in any team meetings between now and the end of 23.
Right, like it's going to be.
You're going from GM to Toyota.
Yeah, that's man, and that's where it's just man, it's so interesting. Like, all right, you could have got, you make the announcement. You got to get through the next, what do we got? 10, 16 races to go.
Right.
All right, that's. But to have to know you got to go through an off season plus 36 more, man, that's going to be a challenge, and especially I say that the challenge is going to be there based on the tweet from RCR. We're proud of the accomplishments. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting directly.
Right.
The end of the tweet saying it couldn't come at a worse time, this announcement, so it's like, if they would have said, hey, we're proud, thank you for everything you've done for our organization, we wish you the best, then at least they're not going to publicly admit of any sour taste in the mouth. They've publicly come out and say, hey, there's a sour taste in our mouth, so that's going to make the next 50 some races, a long 50 some races, I would think.
This just popped in my head too, and I don't think they would do it. But we've seen these kind of lame duck situations in the NFL.
Yeah.
Just bench them. Go sit down over there. We'll pay you the minimum. We'll pay you the minimum on the contract.
Yeah, I wonder
if
they let him finish out this year, and I wonder what happens next year. That would be interesting. Maybe they just move up Noah early. I who knows what the limitations are in the contract, and I've said this for 6 years because I believe Tyler Riddick was on the show year one of the podcast. I am a Tyler Riddick fan. I still am a Tyler Riddick fan. I love it. I was going to try to get him on over the next week or two. I don't know that that'll be a possibility now. Nor even if I did, would this be, this is way beyond my type of media style questions. This type of situation is your Bob Pockris, your Jeff Gluck type thing, not the Lap Traffic podcast. Well,
but here's the thing though, too. You could probably get him around the playoffs.
Yep.
And he might enjoy doing something that's not Bob or Jeff or something hardcore.
Yeah.
It's something, it's like, hey, you've had a great season. Hey, I remember 5-6 years ago you were on.
Yes.
Look how much things have changed since then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're going to get a list. You're going to get a list of controlled questions.
Right.
What you can ask and what you can't ask.
Yeah. And to me, that's
That's
fair. I get it, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love it. All right. Well, we got into the weeds there a little bit, which was fun.
But it's still great NASCAR talk.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. All right. We are headed kind of over to your neck of the woods this weekend in Loudon, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
What are we looking like?
Oh, it's not going to be. It's going to be summer in New England. It's going to be probably cloudy, dry.
Okay.
We could see a little. It could be moist
That's what she said.
Yes, Friday morning. But once we get past some early chances of rain Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday look great. Partly cloudy skies, highs in the mid 80s, real close to normal temperatures. No wind will not be a factor. Bring your sunscreen, bring your beer, have a great time, and bring a really big pot for Larry the Lobster.
Excellent. Yes, sir. We've got like 90 seconds here. I am not a lobster fan. I'm not a shellfish fan in general, with the exception, I don't know, is shrimp classified as shellfish?
Yeah, not really.
I mean, and shrimp's it's got to be deep fried, and either like a coconut marmalade or a cocktail sauce.
Okay, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I know, I tried lobster. I thought, hey, I just haven't had it cooked right. I tried it one time in Boston, right? Like, if you're going to get it, like, there's the area to have it prepared very well for you. And I don't care how much butter and salt
salt.
I mean, I put salt on everything. I mean, I was trying everything.
Is it a texture thing? Is it a taste thing?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little texture. It's a little taste. Like, Lindsay, she loves the lobster tails. She loves the king crab legs. Like, and and now the funny thing is, you give me a nice, lightly pan fried calamari, I'm going to town on it. Like, you give me some different kinds of white fish, I'm going to town on it. But
okay, crab cakes.
Nope, hard pass. I'm out. See ya.
Okay, I'll take yours.
Oh, all right. Well, that's cool. And hey, real quick, you are quietly kicking some ass in Lap Traffic Fantasy.
I was surprised. I hate to say it this way. I was surprised. I'm like, I knew it was a good weekend. Didn't think it was a great weekend. I knew it was a good weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking for myself because it automatically scrolls. I'm like going back. It's like when I'm looking down at the bottom of page 1, I'm like, where am I? Okay, page 2. Well, I'm not there. Let's go back to page 1.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah. I tell you what, a lot of us made up. A lot of people took Zane Smith and Ty Gibbs, and it burned a lot of people. So some of us that didn't have that combo were able to rebound quite nicely. So there you have it.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it.
All righty. Well, sir, great to have you back on. We'll catch you in a couple weeks. Everybody make sure you follow Aaron on Twitter at RaceWeather and Brian Newdorf at NASCAR_WXMAN. Good to catch up with you, sir.
Good to catch up with you, too. Everybody, please head over to raceweather.net. Support our advertisers, support us, and we'll be good to go.
Sounds good, man. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Later.
See ya. All right. After a couple-week hiatus, it is time to bring back the Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks. You guys know the drill. After a race weekend, tweet your Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks. I'll read it back on the show. Tag you guys on Twitter, all that good stuff. My lucky dog is Chase Elliott and Austin Hill. Anytime the locals pick up a win is an awesome thing. Lap down, got to be Atlanta attendance. No doubt about that. Okay, let's see what you guys had to say. Scott at 1985 Wagner's, a lucky dog, Atlanta Racing for the track rework. Lap down, Ross Chastain, any mistakes he makes gets people lightning torches. Lucky dog, 99% lap down, 1%. Corey LaJoy, so damn close. Absolutely, Scott. I'm with you there with the Ross too. I feel you. Brandon at Brandon K. Carl. My lucky dog goes to Parker Kligerman for getting the win at Mid-Ohio. It was so cool seeing that in person. My lap down goes to SMI. Pardon my pun, but their track record for absolutely ruining their racetracks with reconfigs is still 100% intact. Yeah, I mean, I think that is very evident by the people that didn't show up this weekend. Chris at USMC _NASCAR Fire. Lucky dog, the Elliott family and teams making more history. Lap down Chastain for making the target on his back that much bigger. I love it. Dave at Real David Kahn, lucky dog. Ross Chastain that he was able to finish second. Lap down Ross Chastain. No way he wins the title. He's pissed off too many people. I love it. Jared at JTMOO86, lucky dog. Corey LaJoy, lap down Ross Chastain. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fan, lucky dog. Georgia driver sweeping the weekend in Atlanta. A lap down Hamlin complaining about Chastain when he almost did the same thing to him earlier in the race. Josh at Javy Time J24, lucky dog. Chase winning at his home track. Great finish at Mid-Ohio. Lap down Ross continuing to make bad decisions on the track when they're not needed. Liam at Almost a Mechanic, lucky dogs go good run for Spire Motorsports. Lap down Chase Elliott's crappy move on Corey LaJoy. Ooh, rough. Oh, getting some heat there. Matt at Camper News Net, lucky dog, hometown, Chase Elliott winning at his home track for the first time. A lap down, Corey LaJoy was so close to his first career win, but so far. Matt at CH9SE fan, just wanted to chime in here. Where to begin? Trucks at Mid-Ohio race, wicked finish. Xfinity was lacking, not sure what happened. XRS so far, Soho was the last 2 weeks been meh. Cup race was wild, so much good racing, lots of passing, upset drivers. We'll see you at the end. I love it. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragon, lucky dog, the Siren at the pool hall. It's getting a workout with another Chase Elliott win. Lap down, Ross Chastain, going to be a tough road ahead heading to the playoffs. And wrapping it up, Tristan at Tristan Cole, a lucky dog, definitely. Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney both had top 10 finishes. Lap down, Ross Chastain, he's not learning from his so-called mistakes. He'll be on a few drivers' radars. Oh, I love it, guys. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's keep things rolling. Normally, we'd be closing things out here with some lap traffic fantasy. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, it's time to get Parker Retzlaff on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation joining me on the line, making his first appearance on the show. He's been driving since the age of 7. He's driven Bandoleros, the Midwest Truck Series, the Pro Dirt Series, the K&N East, and currently the driver, the number 38 with Ryan Sieg Racing, with 3 top 15s in just 5 starts in 2022. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Parker Retzlaff. Parker, what's going on, man?
Nothing, just hanging out, just waiting for the next race and doing some iRacing stuff and every other kind of racing I can get myself involved in, just waiting until the next one.
That's awesome, man. How was your 4th of July? Do anything fun?
I didn't really do anything fun since now I live down here in Mooresville, so I ain't by all my family and everything up there, but I kind of just hung out and just had like a chill weekend.
Oh, hey, nothing wrong with that. You need those every once in a while. That's for sure. Well, listen, since it's your first time on the show, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your journey in racing so far.
So, yeah, I started when I was 7, like you said, and in sprint cars, mini sprints at a local dirt track near my house in Wisconsin, and it just transformed into next. I went into the Bandolero racing and did that locally, and then I went and raced some Bandoleros like in Florida and North Carolina and Texas and did all the national stuff. And then I did some dirt. I went to dirt racing just to try and get some experience in a full-size car before I went and did asphalt racing full-size. So I went and did the pro trucks on dirt, and then I moved up to the Midwest Truck Series, which is basically like the Truck Series, but just on a shorter track, so a little bit smaller motors, and just a local series near me again in Wisconsin. And then we did some of the late model stock stuff down in North Carolina, and then we moved up to the ARC East stuff. And then for the last 2 years, I did that. And then this year, we're just making our move into the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Ryan Sieg Racing.
That's awesome, man. All right, so I'm going to break what they call the fourth wall from a TV perspective, because Parker and I are on Zoom here, and so you guys can't see it, but Parker's got a truck door panel behind him, and it looks pretty sweet. So since it's displayed, it's got to have some significance. So talk about that. That's sitting back there behind you.
Yeah, it's actually not mine, but it's my main sponsor, Ponzi. It's from a world championship off-road race that they won the world championship, and I liked it since it was my sponsor, and they won the world championship, so I liked it, and they let me take it, and I put it up on the back of my bed, so now it's like my bed, like the head of my bed.
I love it. That's awesome, man. So Ryan Sieg Racing, I mean, obviously everybody knows Ryan Sieg. The name's synonymous with racing. The family's been in racing for a long time. How'd you get hooked up with them?
So I did some racing with Kyle with a different team last year. I did some ARCA stuff. He was my teammate in that, and that's how we ended up talking to them. And we wanted to make a move out of the ARCA stuff, and felt like Xfinity was a good place to go and get some experience. And I don't think we expected to run as good and be as competitive as we have this year, but I think that I showed that I can compete, and it's been a big just team effort and putting hard work and dedication into everything we do.
Absolutely. And you can expand upon what I'm about to say, but for the casual listeners or the casual race fans, when I brought you on and I said 3 top 15s in just 5 starts in 2022, that's a big deal for racing part-time and for limited exposure in the series. That's huge. Like that should be like this kid's good. Like this kid could go places kind of thing, because you just don't see that, One, the infrequency of strapping in and getting behind the wheel. To be able to go out there and do that, I mean, that's damn impressive as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes it a little bit harder on myself that I don't race full time. So like
Absolutely.
from the Nashville race, I had like a 2.5 month break between my last race and then that race. And that was a really grueling race for just the heat and everything. So I think that made it harder, but we ended up finishing 12th. So we were competitive once again. It just makes it a little bit harder when you have such a big break between each race.
Absolutely. You mentioned finish 12th, not to mention that you started 25th in that race too. So you mentioned the heat. Like I said, it was a minute ago. Walk us through that day, as far as, moving through the field.
Yeah, I mean, it started out, we were just kind of riding around the first stage. I was kind of like, it was already just a hot day all day. Everyone was just trying to stay cool all day. It was like 100 degrees and outside it was like 100 degrees when we went green. So everyone knew it was going to be a grueling day. So we were just, drinking as much water as we could, just ice, whatever you could to just keep yourself cool. And we just ended up just moving slowly through the field. And my crew chief, Steve Addington, had a really good pit strategy that ended up gaining us some spots when everyone else had to pit, and we made it on gas. So that ended up saving us some spots. We probably made up 5 or 6 spots just doing that. So it was just like an overall team effort on everything we did, and everyone worked out really well.
That's great. So when, was that a strategy going into the race that could be something, or is that you're racing and he's like, hey, we're going to do this strategy, and are you thinking to yourself, oh man, I don't know about that? Walk us through that kind of process and thought process.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like, so I haven't been in it very long, and I know that Steve's been at it for so many years, won so many races. So I kind of have like full confidence in the calls he makes. Sure. And if he thinks it's going to work, it's probably going to work. And it ended up, I don't really ever question what he wants to do. He's won so many races with so many other drivers that if he's saying that it's probably going to work, it's probably the best effort we got.
I love it. You mentioned that you do a lot of iRacing and all of that. And actually, a little earlier on the show, I don't know if the name will ring a bell to you or not, but I had Anthony Lord on the show, who is a big iRacer. He has won now over 200 races throughout 7 different league championships and all that kind of stuff. So I love to mix in some of the iRacing every once in a while. I've done some work with Parker Kligerman and Landon Castle with their E-Racer series and all of that. So tell us a little bit about your iRacing background.
So yeah, I've been at it for 9 years now. I'm above 9 years on the sim of iRacing. So I think official wins, I think I'm at over 1,400 right now. Wow. So I've done so much league racing with everyone, like especially during COVID, I did so much league racing with everyone that was doing that because we couldn't race at all like in person. So it's just been something I've done on my off time just to have fun and enjoy it and try and learn. And it ended up becoming a big thing during COVID, and I was kind of ahead of the game, and I won a bunch of races there that was just really competitive since everybody was coming into it.
That's great. Is that something that you work into as a sponsorship kind of thing? Like, hey, sponsor me on the track. I'll throw you on my iRacing thing. Do you run that completely separate? How for you as both a professional driver on the track plus doing that, do you keep it separate? Do you package deal that? How does that work for you?
Everybody that is on my real life stuff, like I said, during COVID, I did all the races. Since Ponzi was with me before COVID, I ran just Ponzi cars all the way through entire COVID in every race I did. But right now, since I'm in the pro iRacing stuff, I am signed with RFK, so I run all their cars every week for the big pro races. So, but other than that, yeah, I run all my real life sponsors in all my iRacing stuff.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Have you competed in Landon and Parker's competitions that they've had?
Yeah, I did. I did some of them. I've missed a couple of them since just being out of town or racing somewhere else. But I try to do as many those big competitions, on iRacing as I can. But I've missed a couple. I've just not done a couple. I try and do as many as I can, but sometimes other stuff's in the way.
So when you have the skill that you do, and I'm saying you personally, when you go and run something like that, knowing that there could be obviously some amateurs out there that aren't at your level from the iRacing capability, does that get frustrating? Does that add a level of skill and enjoyment for you? How do you play into that when you could be racing against people that may not have the level of competition that you do for it?
I mean, I think it all depends because, I think if everyone, even if they're just getting on the sim and they spend a lot of time just on that one race, they can be up there with everybody else. It just depends on what their strong suits are on the sim. And I think you can't underestimate anyone because there's there's like a skill gap of like the experience and everything, but there's also strategy and everything else in those big races. So I don't think you can underestimate really anybody.
Awesome. Cool. What's lined up for the rest of 2022 for you?
I'm not really sure right now. We're just trying to look at what races are going to be the most beneficial for my career right now, and then hopefully take a run at something full time next year. And we got some stuff that we're trying to work on right now, and hopefully we will have it all out to the public here soon.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool. You mentioned the sponsor Ponzi. Who else have you had on with you lately, or that you're going to be working with down the road?
Yeah, the main ones have been Ponzi and Funkaway and Ron and Lori from Absolute Realtors and Grill Lads, Iron Horse Loggers. There's been a bunch of people that have helped me along the way, and I'm so grateful to have all the amazing supporters that I have.
That's awesome. So let's dive in a little bit deeper for some of the other races that you've had. Like I said, you've had quite a few top 15 starts this year. Martinsville can be a nail biter of a race. It can be a grueling challenge. Sometimes I think that takes more mental, than like your mile and a halves and things of that nature. Talk about that Martinsville race, because again, you started towards the started 20th, got your way up to 12th. Same thing at Richmond. What's been some of the things that have worked for you at some of these shorter tracks that you've been able to go out there and pick off some of these top 10, top 15s?
I think that it was all just come down to just trying to save your stuff, because I know I ended up like the end of the Martinsville race. I feel like we should have finished better. I ended up losing most of my brakes just from how hard Martinsville is on brakes. And
Sure.
we ended up overheating a little bit at the end of the race. So we were focused on that. And our race definitely wasn't perfect, but it was just a hard fought race. Once again, we were just trying to march our way through the field with any spot we could. And it was just about avoiding all the chaos and just, keeping the car intact for the end of the race.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I could only imagine, and especially like you said, not being in there full time, not knowing, the different brakes that you may use or how hard you may use the brakes, different style of tracks and all of that, to finish with that type of finish is just remarkable. I think it's incredible what you've been able to go out there and do in just such a few competitive starts in the truck series, and definitely look forward to what you're going to be able to do down the road here. Where can everybody keep up with you and follow you on social media and all of that?
So you can find me at Parker Retzlaff Racing on Facebook and Parker Retzlaff on Instagram and Parker79P on Twitter. And that's mostly it right now, where I'm trying to branch out into more of the social media stuff, but it's kind of the main three right now.
Do you do the Twitch when you're running or no?
I don't. I did it for a while, but I ain't doing it right now. I need to just try and get a better computer and everything, and then I think I'll start streaming every day or trying to stream every day just for some of my iRacing races I do, and maybe end up streaming some of the Coke races.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, listen, man, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate you. Best of luck and what comes to fruition for the rest of 2022, and definitely look forward to seeing you on the track in the very near future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was very fun.
Absolutely, man. All right, cool. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right.
All right, Lap Traffic Nation. There you have Parker Retzlaff. It's so fun to get some of these younger guys, up and comers, and to hear their story, where they've come from, what their goals are, and all of that. And it's fun to keep up with them and to keep track and see what they're able to develop. It's a lot of fun. So, all right. I think it's now time to, as we're at the hour 35 mark, last couple shows have gone a little longer, which I'm okay with, especially taking an off week last week. And let's close this thing down. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, let's close this thing out with a little Lap Traffic Fantasy. Just a reminder, get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Keep the Twitter interaction up using hashtag LTFantasy. Joining me on the line for this week's show, he's a multi-time appearance on the show, but it's been a minute. Welcome back to the show, David James. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Brandon, doing well. It's been about 2 years since we've spoken.
Yes.
Not good for my fantasy.
Which is crazy. And before we started recording, it was nice to know that there's some family in the mix. Kim is your mom. Don is your dad. I know there's another mother and son. The Hoglins are a family playing. I've got Mark and Matt Luddington, father and son. So this is becoming a family tradition and a family affair, if you will, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, shout out to Kim James, that is sitting in 4th place currently, cumulative. And then Don James, my father, who had a rough go at it last week because he sent in a duplicate pick. But it happens. But yeah, we have a great time every year. So thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man. I love it. All right, let's start with this. What'd you think of Atlanta?
I love Atlanta. New Atlanta is great. I went to Atlanta a few years ago and sat out in the hot sun, and I just wasn't too impressed with the track. Hadn't been back, but I do put it back on my bucket list because I love the plate racing. I love the excitement. Sunday was a little bit better than Saturday, but I love New Atlanta. Maybe in the minority there, but I do enjoy it.
Hey, you know what? As long as someone's tuning in and is getting enjoyment out of it, that's really all that matters. I wish there would have been a little bit more fans in the stands because it's just not a good look. But it is what it is. They'll figure it out.
Well, I do think there's something to tracks having 2 races in the same kind of 2 races. I think Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is in my backyard, is they do a good job with doing the oval and then doing the roval, and it keeps the stands kind of full. So there's a little bit of difference there. But yeah, I think you're right. They may need to change it up here in the future.
Yeah, well, Pocono ran into that issue. Michigan ran into that issue. There was times, the Pocono race was literally 7 weeks apart. That it's not like it's horribly different, weather conditions or anything like that. Like it can get mundane, and it's a long weekend to travel that trailer or to tent in the camp or to make the drive in on Sunday, in such a short time span. Now, Atlanta was spaced out a little bit more, but yeah, like you said, if you have the option of throwing in a curveball like a road course at the same track, and you can get two completely different races at the same thing, then that's a different thing there in terms of what that might draw twice a year or whatever the case may be. So, all right, let's talk about your picks this week, man. You hit them pretty good. Blaney, race winner Austin Hill, and Zane Smith, man. That was nicely done there, sir.
I appreciate it. Zane Smith, I think, is pretty popular every week. You haven't put any rules on our truck picks yet, so we're going to keep rolling with Zane Smith there. But Austin Hill, I'm just going to tell you, was pretty lucky. I needed to throw a curveball there and see how I would do. But he did lead a bunch of laps in the spring race and finish second. So a different pick, but not totally off base. And then I think Ryan Blaney was pretty popular as well. Ended up in a top 5.
Yes.
Got a lot of stage points. So a consistent week, and we'll take the top points of the week.
Absolutely. I doubled down on Blaney on both lap traffic and a buddies league that I'm helping him on, and that paid off pretty well. It's funny you mentioned with the trucks. It's like every year I've been toying. This year added the Xfinity limits. We'll see what happens on the survey if we want to go, real big next year and throw some limits on the truck picks there. But I wonder, who knows? John Hunter might move up somewhere else. Zane Smith might move up somewhere else, and then it'll be whoever is next to fill those shoes. But Zane and John Hunter, yeah, those are definitely the two popular picks week in, week out. Ty Majeski's been getting some popular picks as of late. Kligerman will get a couple picks in there every once in a while, but nobody scored the win on him. And I was surprised. I think only one player picked Chase Elliott at Atlanta this week. So I think everyone's saving him for road courses and such like that down the road. But great times. All right, let's run down the standings here. Segment 2, top 10. Brett Morris still in first place with 742. Robert Riggs, who also had the same picks as Dave here this week with 736. Yours truly has moved back up to third with 731. Logan Cummings in fourth with 724. Jeff in fifth with 695. Benton Wilson in sixth with 694. Kim James in seventh, 688. Pete Curvin in eighth, 687. Dave, you're in ninth, 686, and Josh Rolfe in 10th with 685. So we're talking single points, separating 6th through 10th there, which is awesome. Still anybody's game for the segment 2 win and the automatic bid to the playoffs there, which not to jinx you or anything, Dave, but you might need that segment 2 win for a playoff spot here, I'm thinking.
I am slowly making my way forward.
I love it. All right, bonus points. Kristen Hoglund in first with 13. And see, Dave, this is where you need those to get the playoffs because you're in second with 11 bonus points. Brad Carnes in third with 9. Henry Fletcher's got 9. Jason Dickus, Kyle Garrett, Logan Cummings, Stephen Florenzo all have 9. Then we got Brian, Kurt, Michael, Rob, Tony all with 8, and on down from there. But where it counts, where it is, and that is the cumulative standings. In first, Kristen Hoglund. In second, Robert Riggs. Aaron Studwell's moved back up to third. Like you mentioned, Kim James is in fourth. Brett Morris is in fifth. Steven is in sixth. Yours truly is up to seventh. Henry Fletcher in eighth. Justin Hughes in ninth. Jason Dickus in 10th, Michael Mason in 11th, Matt Crowd in 12th, Tony Salt 13th, John Etwinsel 14th, Kevin Hahn 15th, Brian Hall 16th. And again, some very close numbers there, 2 and 3 points apiece. 17th is only a point out, so by no means are we set from a standings perspective. Lots of comers and goers, if you will, still to happen there. So, all right, man, what do you say? You ready to make some picks?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, Lap Traffic Fantasy. We are headed to the East Coast, back to Loudon. Ford has dominated the track the last 4 trips there, with SHR picking up 3 wins, Penske with a win. However, it was Brad who won for Penske, who now obviously drives the 6, and SHR has been struggling all season. If Ford remains dominant, who will we see in victory lane? Blaney looked good this past week, and he's still looking for his first win. Might avoid the Chevy drivers this week. Chevy has 1 win in the last 15 trips to Loudon, and that was with Kevin Harvick back in 2016. Here's a fun fact for you all. There is not an active Chevy driver with a win in the field. Who gets some lobster? Who picks up some points? We'll find out this weekend. But first, it is time for our picks. Dave, we'll start with you. Who do you got for the Xfinity Series, sir?
In the Xfinity Series, I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier. One of his best tracks overall. 3 straight top 10 finishes. He's kind of cooking right now. And I'm going to take that easy pick, Justin Allgaier, not get cute with it in the Xfinity Series.
I like that. I'm getting cute as far as what would be considered cute for my picks. A lot of people take Ty Gibbs every week. I kind of forget about him every once in a while because he's not limited, so I don't see his number sticking out at me. But I'm going to roll with Ty Gibbs this week.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
And over to the Cup Series, sir. Who do you got?
Yeah, that's a really interesting stat with all the Ford winning and the Chevrolet, but I think it keeps rolling this week. I'm not going to take a Ford. Kevin Harvick would have been my Ford pick that I know that you would have liked. He led 66 last year. I think he's running better, but I'm going to take Christopher Bell. I'm going to get a little different with my Cup Series pick. I'm going to take Christopher Bell, who runs very well in New Hampshire, won the Xfinity Series race last year, ran second behind Almirola last year, and was coming at the end. And I think Christopher Bell has a really good day, solid day for Toyota, and may pick up the win.
I love it. I am going to stick with a Ford. He's got a couple back-to-back top 5s, and I am going to go with the 22 of Joey Logano this week.
You know who I like.
I love it. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you. And hopefully it's not another 2 years before you're back on the show.
Hey, let's talk next week.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. We'll see ya.
Thanks, Brandon. Bye.
Later. All right, Lap Traffic Nation. What a jam-packed episode 284. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. Be on the lookout next week for an MIS preview show, along with some info on a ticket giveaway. Huge thanks to Anthony Lord, Armani Williams, Parker Retzlaff, David James, and Aaron Studwell for calling in. Got a good show lined up already next week for you guys. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!